Hi everyone and welcome to a new video on the Geekanoids channel. This is the second episode in my business time series. If you haven't seen the previous episode about starting out in your own business venture, then please do check that out. Now this particular episode is all about finding your niche. It is very, very important with the crowded marketplace in many different genres of business to actually find something that you can actually differentiate yourself from the competitors. And one of the areas that can really make a difference is if you are passionate about what you're doing. Now in this particular series I always like to use myself as an example. I've been self-employed for 25 plus years, and one of the things that I think differentiates myself from others on the YouTube platform is actually being passionate about what I'm talking about. So it's not an act. I've actually lived through many different experiences, both in the business world and the technology sector, and I'm just super passionate about how technology can enable certain things in our day-to-day lives, and I think that shows through in the videos that I present. I also run other businesses as well, including a commercial video business, and I'm very passionate about delivering really high quality video footage with accompanying good quality audio that tells a story to my clients. And again, I think that helps me differentiate myself from the competitors that I have. Now another way you can really find your niche is to add a unique twist to what you're doing. Now again, when we're looking at YouTube content creators, we can see people presenting their videos in different ways. So presenting differently applies to content creators here on YouTube, but it can also be applied to the service industry as well. Let's take a look at something like a florist. Maybe you do your floral displays in a particular way, or use a particular flower that's very, very hard to find. Then you'll find people come into you just because of this particular flower that you're using. Or let's take a look at maybe the service industry with tradesmen. Maybe you're looking for an electrician. It's a breath of fresh air when you're visited by a tradesman that looks very smart. Maybe they've got a particular uniform they wear. Maybe they're very sort of clean and well presented. Maybe they're extremely punctual, and also maybe they're a really good communicator. Sometimes people struggle at certain elements of their business, so finding something that really makes you stand out from the crowd will really pay off in dividends. Now finding your niche isn't always about being different. It's finding something that is a very sort of acquired taste. Now that might not be for everyone. We see these very sort of unique channels on YouTube that present videos about something that maybe you're not interested in, but they have their own very sort of niche product area or subject that they're talking about. Now when you look at the technology channels, there are loads of technology videos on YouTube and loads of technology presenters, myself included. So it's a very difficult area to stand out in. When you look at makeup tutorials, again, a very crowded sector. But then when you look at people maybe talking about wines, or maybe specialising in hair instead of makeup, or maybe specialising in a certain type of makeup, maybe they're just looking at fingernails for example, then that's a really niche area. And if you've got a really in-depth knowledge about that particular area, then it certainly makes you stand out. Now when I look back to my career on YouTube, when I first started out, there was not as much technology about as nowadays, so I was primarily covering Apple products. That was my niche. People knew me as the Apple fanboy, and they would come to me and ask questions about Apple products because I knew them inside and out. And over the years I've sort of diversified what I cover on the channel, including this particular series, Business Time, because I'm passionate about so many different things. But certainly back then the engagement was a lot different than it is now, and that's because nowadays it's a lot more crowded in the marketplace. So finding your niche is very, very important. Now let's go back to when I was saying about presenting yourself differently. Obviously that can be applied to what I do on YouTube. It can be applied to my commercial video business. It can be applied to any business in the service sector. But let's look at maybe manufacturing. And again, you can find your niche here by maybe packaging your products differently, maybe in a quirky way. And this all helps to obviously make people recognize that you've got something very, very special on offer. So finding your niche doesn't just apply to what I do here on YouTube. It can apply to all different sectors in the business industry. And I think it's very, very important to differentiate yourself nowadays, because so many people have access to technology that allows them a much wider audience. So it's extremely important to concentrate on this area and do a lot of research on this when you're setting out on a new business venture. Now, before I continue on this discussion, I like doing the Business Time series live. So if you are watching this video live on the Geekanoids channel, then thank you so much for tuning in. I will be taking some questions in the live chat. And as always with these live broadcasts, I give a shout out to the first 4 that tune into the live broadcast and give them a shout out in the chat. We've got Andrew Walker, we've got Warwick Sylvester, Chris Watson and Raymond Moore. A big thank you to you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, as do I appreciate each and every one of you in the live chat. Now, the live chat is there for the Q&A section of this video. If you want your comment or question highlighted, you can use the super chat. And also, if you're watching this after the live event, don't forget to leave me a comment. I answer as many as I can. So let's take a look inside the live chat. We've got Raymond Moore. I've known your channel, Dave, through the Samsung S2 review. I've been following you since then. That's a really good comment, Raymond. I really appreciate you sticking around for so long. I mentioned at the beginning of this video about how things have changed during my career on YouTube. When I first started off, I was covering purely Apple products with a few little other products mixed in, but mainly focused on Apple. And the Samsung Galaxy S2 that Raymond just mentioned was in fact one of the first Android smartphones that I covered. And I think that has achieved over 3 million views. So branching out and diversifying on what I covered on the channel certainly was a good move for me. And in this Business Time series, I'll be talking to you about diversifying your product range or your service range in a future episode. So do stick around for that, because it really does apply to all different genres of business. Warwick Sylvester saying, same for me, Raymond. That was the first review I ever watched. It was because of Dave I bought the Samsung Galaxy S2 and the HTC Sensation. Thank you very much. That is a really cool comment. I really do appreciate it. So let's go back onto the main topic of business time and finding your niche. It can be a very, very hard thing to find something very unique in such a crowded area. And that's applicable to whether you're going online with a business or indeed you're entering maybe the service industry and offering up something like a plumbing service or a car valeting service. It is really hard to find something that is so different that makes you recognisable for just delivering your expertise in that area. But there is something that you can look at that you could apply to any business, and that is finding your niche in the way that you deliver perhaps an element of your business. And that could be something as simple as customer service. Now, I follow a lot of businesses on Twitter. It seems a sort of foregone conclusion that if you are in business nowadays, you have to have some sort of presence on social media. And a lot of companies have followed this trend of offering customer service or some sort of support on the likes of Twitter or maybe Facebook, but mainly I've seen it on Twitter. And some of them have found their niche in the way that they actually offer customer service. Now, I hate to say this, but I'm going to give you a bad example against a good example. And a bad example is indeed Apple. Apple offer support. They haven't been doing it very long. I think it's only in about the last year or so they've been offering this on Twitter. They do have an Apple support Twitter team. And you can reach out to them on this social network for customer support. And then normally they reply to you in a reasonable amount of time, and then they switch you over to maybe direct or private messages so that you can discuss your issue in more detail. And the reason this is a bad example is because more often than not, when I've experienced this and when I've talked to people that have experienced this, they give you very limited support, and it can be very frustrating support on Twitter. And more often than not, they have to switch you over to maybe phone support, so they ask you to call in. This is not a very nice experience, and certainly they haven't differentiated themselves from many other companies that do it in this way. But a very good example of great customer support that I've experienced on Twitter is with Vodafone, because they are able to actually sort out your issue within the Twitter client. They're very proactive on this. Another good example is Barclays Bank. They are also very proactive in the way they communicate on Twitter, and they give you an opportunity to have direct contact with somebody who's going to take on your case, who's going to actually try and sort out your support issue. And I think that differentiates both Vodafone and Barclays Bank in the way they do their Twitter support from a lot of other companies. Also, something else I've noticed on Twitter is a lot of companies that are there that don't necessarily have a dedicated support make themselves very approachable, very social on Twitter. They don't try and sell to you at every single opportunity. They're there to communicate and have some sort of dialogue with you. And again, this is a very unique twist to the way they offer up their sort of presence on social media. So again, it doesn't have to be that your complete business offers a niche product or service. It could just be one element of your business that is very different from your competitors. So anyway, let's jump back down into the live chat. We've also got Gregor's Gameplay Magic and Ivalo Stakov. Greetings from Bulgaria, says Ivalo. Have a nice business talk. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. It's really nice for you to tune in for this particular video series. Now, looking back to the last episode of Business Talk, where I was talking to you about starting out on your new business venture, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who took part in that particular broadcast as well. We covered a whole range of topics, and the questions were absolutely amazing. Very good indeed. Now, that's pretty much it for this particular episode of Business Talk. I've got plenty more planned and some really juicy topics coming up throughout the series. So don't forget to tune in every Friday for a new episode of Business Talk. If you've got any questions at all about starting out in your business, how to differentiate yourself from a crowded marketplace, then please do leave me some comments below. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And also, before I sign off, don't forget to subscribe. I publish a new tech video or business orientated video pretty much every single day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.